Blessing y'all, get straight into it. No, I did not know Jack Spice speaks fluent Korean. It's crazy. That's fine though. Let's get into it. Let's see if we can understand what he's saying. Hopefully, you got the words at the bottom. You know. Wait a minute. I hit the like button. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Alright, let's get it. Let's get it.
No. Apparently, Chohangu Ah! Chugayo! Apparently I speak fluent Korean now, which I am glad because I've practiced it for very little time in the last few years. So I'm glad that it's finally caught on, and I learned this talent without me even knowing it. Let's rewind it back a little and talk about why we are here. A long time ago, the universe burst forth. I was streaming a lot over the last few months. I was doing stuff on Twitch. We were playing like Rust. I was doing Among Us with a lot of people. You know, the usual. And in those sessions, every now and then, I would bust out some Korean. Because if you've been on this channel for a while, and you know me as a person at all, really, you'll know that I speak a little bit of Korean. Because I dated someone from Korea when I was like 20 to 24-ish. About 4 years, a little under that, I think.
That sounds fine. How was that?
And I learned a bit of it. I learned it by talking to her on MSN Messenger. Can you believe? That was the messenger we were all using back then. There was no such thing as Facebook Messenger. There was no, well, probably could have used WhatsApp. I think that's the one. But MSN Messenger. Remember the sounds? Oh! You remember those sounds? A lot of you are too young. I'm talking to babies right now. But we talked a lot on that. I went over to Korea a few times. Had a great experience. Could have been awful. I could have got catfish and I could have been murdered in Korea, and that could have been the end of my journey. But thankfully it was all above board, and I actually went and had a great experience. It taught me a lot. It was the first time I ever traveled anywhere on my own, and I decided to do it on a 14-hour plane journey. So why not? You know, shits and giggles. So long story short, I learned some Korea in that span of time. I learned some Korea. Learned some fucking English. Now, I've never been amazing at Korean. I knew a lot of words and a lot of like phrases that I could butcher together semblances of sentences. But no! Streamers react to Jacksepticeye speaking fluent Korean. I'm fluent now. I didn't even know that. I'm so glad that a random video on YouTube taught me that more than I could teach myself. I thought it'd be funny to go through this, give people some context as to why this is, because a lot of people keep being surprised by it. So this is my Korean story. But I also think that it's absolutely astonishing that a random video from somebody that just put a bunch of clips together can get 4.1 million views in a month. I can't even get that in a lot of my videos. How the hell? I'm just good.
I see what you mean.
You know, I'm gonna name this video the exact same thing, and this video better get 4 million views. So to help it along, smash like right now for Korean Jacksepticeye. All right, let's just watch some of this. So I think this was the first time I did it. Saikuno odigayo.
Is that Korean?
Chaoga.
Oh, 저기네.
어디 있어요?
화장실 어디에요? Oh, that's Leslie. Oh, thank you.
한국말 잘 못해요.
Look what you started.
So I tested it out because I saw this is Tina, lovely person. We played a lot.
Hey, this is fun. I like this.
Together, Leslie, Saikuno, Toast. You know them all. The gang's all here. We've played some Rust, and then I saw a clip of Tina going around in like a box in Rust, being like, "Scrap what you say, nugu sayo." Like,
is that the language that's on
please, and who are you? I was like, "Oh, Tina is Korean. Cool." And in one of these lobbies, I decided, okay, I'll try it out because I've wanted to like see how much I could remember for so long and practice it and talk Korean with some other people. So I kind of busted it out of nowhere, and then everyone was like, "What?"
Jack? Jack, you're Korean?
Jack, you're PogChamp. Jack, you're PogChamp. Thank you. I'm Poggy Woggy.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. There's no subtitles in this
오늘은
one.
뭐 먹었어요?
밥 먹었어요.
와, 무슨 밥?
It's just translating auto-generated English. Museum. Wow, museum pub. Okay, I'll translate for you. She said hello, and then 밥 먹었어요. She asked what I ate, and I said I ate rice.
와, 무슨 밥?
Which rice? I don't know what just rice is. 그냥 밥.
그냥 밥 먹었어?
I remembered it after I watched this clip back, and I was like, oh yeah, duh.
그냥 밥 먹었어?
김치찌개 먹었어요.
와! 오, 잘했어. 와.
I said I ate kimchi jjigae, which is like or kimchi stew, which is absolutely delicious, by the way. You should try that food if you can. Korean food is some of my favorite food on the planet. It's so delicious.
Sounds good.
But it's on the spicier side, so if you're not into spicy foods, a lot of Korean food will be off the table for you. But I also like how this clip is basically like Tina's my mom, and she's asking like, "What did you do in school today?" And what did you eat? And I'm like, 김치찌개 먹었어요.
와우.
고마워요.
엄청 잘했어. 와.
I said thank you, and then I said, "What did you do?" 뭐 했어요? 타스크.
오늘은
뭐 했어요? And then I said, "Which task did you do?"
Among Us 노랬어.
Oh yeah. So at this point, she said, "Among Us 노랬어," which sounds like 노래, which is like to sing or a song. And I thought she was like, I sang Among Us. So I caught that. And I think, I don't know what the actual verb is. I think it's 노랬어, and 노랬어. Like they're very, very close. And I didn't know what the verb to play was. So I just thought she said she was singing. And then everyone was like, oh my God, it's amazing. He even caught her on her mistake. And I'm like, I just had no idea what she said. Jacksepticeye speaks fluent Korean.
Among Us 했어?
노래?
I ain't gonna lie. Like the frequency of the language is soothing. It's really happy. That's why y'all keep smiling and laughing.
했어?
아니, 노래 안 했어.
무슨 노래? So I asked her what song?
몰라.
Cause like you gotta kind of sing it. Right?
저가요.
네, 잘
And then it said, just said goodbye, which I think literally translates to like, go well. So it's like farewell, rather than just, I guess, goodbye. I never thought about the word goodbye like that.
Yeah.
It's like, be good, have good farewells. Whoa, language is amazing. I'm fluent in English as well. But those were the first clips that went around, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, Jacksepticeye speaks Korean." And like, as flattering as it is, and as much as I would love to be able to parade around, yes, I speak Korean. Aren't I great? I feel like I have to rain on my own parade a little bit, because then I go up against people who actually speak like fluent Korean, which is in this clip, Jay from day 6, and then I have no idea what's going on, and then I just look like a fraud, and everyone's like, you don't know it at all.
Speak Korean thing. What if I just start randomly speaking Korean? 진짜 제약 이럴 줄 몰랐는데 정말 너무하네.
뭐라고요?
아 진짜 이럴 줄 몰랐는데 진짜 너무하네.
뭐 말했어요? 나 한국말 잘 못해요.
선생님 너무해요.
So at this point, I wasn't like, my reaction is like, what did you just say? Which falls in line with what he was actually saying as like a proper reaction, but I actually had no idea what he was saying. I could pick up a little bit of it. I knew he was directing something at me. Mainly because he said my name. But it was funny because his chat was spamming him to speak Korean to me, and my chat was spamming me to speak Korean to him as well.
Uh-oh.
아무것도 알아요. 거짓말하지 마세요.
거짓말하지 마세요.
Why you put your camera on the other side, man? What the heck?
I know that, and he's speaking very politely to me. 하지 마세요 instead of 하지마요.
Put the curtain again.
거짓말 아니야. 나 진짜 잘 못해요.
Dude,
What
that's
y'all
crazy.
playing?
You actually speak Korean. My child was telling me you spoke Korean.
What's this, y'all?
You're spamming me as well. But you, I've been practicing it on Tina, and then I went to Lily, and I was like, okay, that's too hard. But you're like a full-on native speaker. That's far too hard.
Who is that with a deep voice?
Of course, it's stuck in the drum set. What's funny about this one, though, is that when I spoke that to him, I went back and watched the clip from his side after that, and everyone in his chat was saying, oh my god, he said you're native. That's such a huge compliment. And that threw me for a loop, because from my perspective, Jay's a full-on native, fluent speaker of Korean, right? So I didn't understand that side of things, but apparently I complimented him. But yeah, listening to someone actually speak fluent Korean throws me for a loop, because it's spoken so fast, and I just get so lost, and I'm like, okay, what did you say? And I can pick up like tiny bits, like little verbs here and there, and I can kind of like mash the sentence together, but I lose so much of it. But I will say,
I think that's like when we speak English extra fast, and some people get it, but some people don't. So we gotta slow it down. I think that's the same thing. That's crazy.
someone who kind of has a hard time learning anything. I have such a hard time sitting down and studying anything. I can't sit and listen to people tell me things and then recount all the information. And it's just gotten worse the older I get. So I can't just retain information as much as I would like to. And I didn't do bad in school, but I never did exceptionally well, really, at anything. It was all the stuff that was kind of within my control and not memorization things that I did really well in. So Korean, I'm surprised I learned any of it, because a lot of it...
You just said it. It's in your control. So you got control over whether you remember it or not. It's up to you if you want to or not. If you want to remember, you'll write it down and you'll look at it every day. 21 days. If you want to remember it, you'll do what you gotta do. Anyways, keep going, y'all.
It was just me sitting at home studying on my own and talking to my ex, my girlfriend at the time, and trying to piece together things. And I was learning it in, what would you call it, Konglish? Like the Korean English mashed together, where I was learning Korean in Romanized characters. So in English letters, I was learning Korean words. So all of it, jinja, which is like really, would be spelled Jinjja. So like jinja. And I would learn it that way first so I could get the words, but then actually learning it and seeing the words like in Korean was another step up. There it is, 진짜. 진짜 잘한다. And then laughing. 누군가 했는데 차밍조가 나오네. I don't know what this means, but I can read it.
What?
I'm just very, very slow at it because I didn't learn it that way first, which I should have. It would have helped me so much more. But I can guarantee you, it seems so daunting, but the Korean alphabet is so perfect. I'd say it's probably one of the greatest alphabets in the world, and the way word structure is put together. Maybe we'll do a little bit on that after this, but just to give some context as to how I learned it, it was just through sheer repetition for some words, and then actually going to Korea and having my then girlfriend like translate stuff for me, and having that mediator between the languages really, really helped. And I learned more in 2 weeks in Korea than I did a whole year on my own. And so much of it came through like body language, because you learn the sentences and the words through books and videos. And like even watching K-dramas, but that's like script writing. It's like learning Japanese through anime. It's not the same as hearing actual conversational Japanese or Korean. So the Korean I was learning was very, very, very useful, because it was words and sentences that people used every single day. So when I spoke to people, it sounded like I knew more than I did. But when it came to like actual conversations, I had a hard time keeping up.
Some galbi? Korean barbecue?
Where are you getting that? Kalbi? 정말 맛있어.
I've got what?
Oh,
You speak Korean?
대박. You speak Korean? Oh.
It's like if you speak Korean, it's just like it's amazing.
완전 맛있어.
Ah.
What the heck?
So these two guys I met playing Rust. This was my first time actually meeting them and interacting with them, and their base was right across the street from ours. And super nice guys. Really glad I met them. But they have some Korean friends, and this guy was married to a Korean lady, so they knew some of it. But I just set the clip to say. What?
뭐야? Oh, very. Your pronunciation is kind of very. I mean, I was kind of intimidated. I mean, it was really good.
I thought you were gonna say it was shit. Oh, I was getting ready to get my axe out.
Ah.
Just prepared. Just
No,
in
your
case.
accent is actually Pog. It's good.
Oh, the greatest compliment you can get from the streaming world. It's like, your accent is Pog. Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? Like my Korean fellas are like, what?
Oh, really?
He's so accurate.
You so accurate.
I haven't spoken it in ages, so it's good to know it's still in there.
I see.
My wife fucking heard you speaking Korean earlier, and she was like, "The fuck? Jack speaks Korean?" My wife's Korean, and she was like, fucking telling me how terrible I am for not being able to speak Korean as well as you.
Oh. But yeah, these guys were great, and it was super fun. They were opening up a Korean barbecue place in the server, which was Rust. It was like role-playing stuff, by the way. If any of you are looking at this and going, that's not Rust. So that was a fun interaction. But it's... Have you ever seen those videos where somebody, somebody speaks a language fluently but doesn't tell the native speakers of it, and then they say something about them, or they're listening in and gossip or something, and then they bust it out and they're like, you know, I actually speak Korean, right? But they say it in Korean, and then just people are all shocked. It kind of felt like that, and that's always been like a fantasy to have, to like be that good at a language that you're able to do that kind of like, ha, gotcha moment. Not for any sort of like malicious intent, but just...
You're definitely on the way, man.
It's an interesting thing to be able to do. So doing that here, it was like a party trick, a little parlor trick that everyone was like, what? Because at this, I said it so much in the past that I thought people knew that, but I guess not. But it was just really, really fun. But yes, I am fluent in Korean, damn it! Let that spread around the internet, because we all know if you say something on the internet enough, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not, as long as you say it enough, it becomes the fact. So if we just say that on the internet enough, that Jacksepticeye speaks fluent Korean, then that's all we need. Then nobody will ever test me on it. And I can just go around the internet pretending that I am amazing at Korean. Okay, I'm turning this into a lesson, apparently, at this point. But I've always been really, really interested in how Korean is formed, because, okay, I might actually be butchering this, but I feel like I learned it a while ago. So this is going to be me like testing myself on my knowledge of the history of Korean. Wasn't it a language that was brought over from like China, and then there was so many characters and it was kind of tricky to learn and write and remember all of the characters from Chinese, so King Sejong decided to make up a new alphabet for it. I don't know if they made up a new language based around it or if they just repurposed some words, but the language was made up as a repurposing of some things, and the letters were supposed to be like this is the S sound. The letters are apparently supposed to be how your mouth looks phonetically as you say those sounds. So this is Tangshin, and then Ship. Is that the word I think it is? If that's the word I think it is. Yeah, 10 Korean words you shouldn't directly... Okay,
Oh, wow.
So I'm swearing in Korean now.
I knew it.
But I love the way it's formed, because everything is like stacked like this. So it's D-A-N-G-S-I-N. Hangshin. So it's written stacked in its consonants, which I think is so cool.
That is cool.
An Yong Ha Seyo. 안녕, 안녕히 가세요. It's weird breaking it out now. It's for some reason it doesn't make any sense to me. And then like, 하시기 바랍니다. Oh, it's written in the English on the right. I wasn't even fucking reading it. And then 누구. So it's where you have the consonants. The language is like little punches of consonants all together. And I think it's just marvelously put together. I think it's such an easy language to read. Hamja. Yang ha. A lot of these words I haven't seen before. Panga! I know carrot! Panga! So I just think it's really cool how Korean is stacked on top of each other and it's all in its consonants together. So as you're reading it, you read like the consonants back to back. Like
It is pretty cool.
the way I'm reading it now. Like, well, tomato. So I just think that's cool. And I keep saying that anybody who wants to learn Korean, I think the alphabet you could probably learn in 30 minutes. And that seems like hyperbolic, but you really could. It's not that hard to learn. Whether you remember what every single letter is a different story, but learning how to read it is really, really straightforward. Anyway, I think Korean is really cool. I wish I kind of stuck with it a little bit more.
I'm gonna look into it. Y'all let me know if y'all like Jack Spice videos. Send me some more videos in the comment section below. I'm out. See y'all in the next one. Peace. Hey Jack, keep practicing on that Korean.